What's going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we got Elon Musk crashing the Bitcoin and crypto markets over a tweet that is misinformed, that I would say is completely misinformed. So I'm gonna just be breaking down like his tweet and stuff, reacting to it, and trying not to get too ridiculously worked up because he is, in the way I would look at it, is not making sense. So this is his tweet talking about Tesla and Bitcoin, saying they're going to stop accepting Bitcoin for purchases of their cars, blaming Bitcoin mining and coal usage and all of this stuff on the environment, complaining about that. What doesn't really make sense is how he's attacking Bitcoin for this. How does he think Teslas are charged? They're not magic. Teslas don't get charged by magic. So that energy comes from somewhere, comes from the power grid, which is a lot of coal, if not the majority of coal, uses to power the power grid that people charge at home, as well as superchargers. They're powered by fossil fuels, by things to speed up charging. So when you're attacking Bitcoin for something and attacking a network that is designed to give freedom back to the individual, bring the control of money back to the individual, and take it away from a government that has been absolutely screwing people and stealing your purchasing power over time and completely devaluing your hard work. I mean, it just doesn't make sense how you attack this and you don't talk about how Teslas are charged. And then on top of that, you don't talk about how Teslas are mined, the materials, how they're mined for the battery needed to be in a Tesla, which is completely devastating to the environment. You can't have it both ways. You can't complain about coal energy that makes up a super small amount of the Bitcoin network. If depending on who you look up, it's 70 to 76% of the Bitcoin mining is done with renewable energy. That's a study from Cathie Woods, who dove into it, did a research paper, came out with 76% of Bitcoin mining is renewable energy. But Teslas, the thing that made you a billionaire, that brought you in a bunch of money, that now gives you so much control for whatever reason over markets, that is destroying the world, if you want to take this stance, just as bad as something that you want to complain about coal power, because the mining is devastating. The way they mine for these materials is devastating. And then you get a car, you know, as compared to the Bitcoin network, where you get individual liberty, you get control of your own money, and you get to preserve your hard work. Now, people would say Bitcoin, you would get a car is a real product, and then Bitcoin isn't real. But that's the real part of Bitcoin, is getting yourself, your individual liberties, taking back control of your money, and making sure that your hard work stops getting devalued by someone else who doesn't care, where they get richer and you get poorer. Because the majority of people, is 45% of Americans don't have assets. That means they're not investing. That means they don't get to profit from money printing and devaluing the dollar that can pump up asset prices, but don't pump up people's bank accounts. It dwindles them down blindly because the amount of money is still the same there, but the purchasing power is lower. So while the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, because the majority of people, close to the majority, 45%, don't have assets. They don't have investments, so they don't get to gain off of these asset prices going up. They are just trying to go week to week, pay their bills, and live their life. So you're devaluing their hard work, their saved money, to make rich people richer. So that's the biggest problem. That's where Bitcoin solves that problem. It's not something that you can just create more out of thin air of. There's a set amount that get mined every day. Everybody knows that. It cannot be inflated like the dollar at just the flip of a switch and start printing trillions and trillions of dollars. On top of that, Elon has SpaceX, which launches rockets into space. Tell me that's good for the environment. And SpaceX launches these rockets. Essentially, Elon does it for fun to see if he can land them again. So I guess you can say going towards a reusable rocket, but it's still pumping through fossil fuels to create that rocket, through the mining, through all the necessary components to create the rocket itself, and then to blast it into space takes a lot of fossil fuels. You can't just ignore that. If you're going to make huge statements about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin network being bad for the environment, you have to address the mining needed to make Tesla batteries, the fuel needed to send rockets into space, to see if you can land them, and go across this way. This is the worst part about this whole tweet, this whole situation, is Elon Musk is tweeting this out, and it's data and FUD that has been talked about before, has been disputed, and facts brought forward to prove that it's not true. And all the things he's linking now to see all this different types of stuff, it's not taking into account that the Bitcoin network runs on mostly renewable energy. That 70 to 76%, depending on who you ask, is renewable energy for Bitcoin. And then on top of that, another part people just aren't even talking about for this whole thing is Tesla made this announcement, but they didn't sell any Bitcoin. So I guess that's being ignored as they're still long Bitcoin. Maybe they have a thought for a solution, but to me, it just seems like Elon being irresponsible with his platform where he needs to do better. You can't have this platform have this reach and impression over millions of people and not have your facts straight. And then on top of that, his tweet, he tweeted out this tweet yesterday, and then today, this morning, he tweeted sources. Like, you should have, either that means he tweeted this out with no sources, no need for anything, and no care in the world to care, or he's trying to push the market down, he's trying to manipulate the market, or do something where it's bad news, wait till the next day. Bad news again, try and push it down. And then rebuttaling Michael Saylor is pretty entertaining on Twitter to see these two go at it. Obviously I'm all on Michael Saylor's side. I think he is extremely educated on what he's talking about, and he makes sense with the points he makes. Pomp is another person, makes sense with the points he makes, talks about how this energy thought process on Bitcoin has been around for a long time and just doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't add up. And then another point to go along with all this stuff, if he's so energy efficient, environmentalist, and cares about everything that's going on, he should stop accepting the US dollar. Because that is by far the worst energy inefficient system in the world. You can see this chart showing Bitcoin mining, gold mining, and the banking system. Bitcoin is not even come close to touching the banking system. The banking system has a far worse effect on the environment if that's what you're worried about. If that's the stance you're taking, stop taking US dollars. They're terrible for the environment. But you won't do that because it makes you rich and it gives you the power that you have now. So you can't have it both ways. You can't complain about Bitcoin, complain about energy, and be an environmentalist, but then love to see people hand over money so that you can continue being a billionaire. It's the most energy inefficient system in the world and is far worse than anything Bitcoin could even imagine to be. Yet there's no talk on that. No talk on it at all because it continues to line your pockets. And a bigger problem for crypto in general is that this one person has so much control over the market. With Bitcoin being decentralized, it defeats the purpose of that if everyone's going to sheep around Elon, and if he says Bitcoin bad, everyone goes sell off. What's the point of being decentralized if one person controls the market? It just doesn't make sense. There's too much hypocritical stuff going on. That's my biggest problem with Elon and his tweet right now, is complaining about Bitcoin and the environment stuff, even though the majority of the Bitcoin network is energy efficient on renewable energy. And then not talking about Tesla needing to mine for these materials to make the batteries, which are terrible for the environment, having fun sending rockets into space, which can't be good for the environment. I don't know the stats on that, but I'd assume sending a rocket into space is not the most energy efficient thing to do. So at the end of the day, that's more what I'm upset about, is how hypocritical everything is to ignore the thing that's making him money and making him a billionaire, and then attacking the thing that is trying to secure individual liberty for people to take back control of their money and their hard work, to stop it from being devalued by someone they don't even know. So that's the biggest problem I have with it. I don't know what to expect from this. Maybe Tesla comes out, or Elon Musk comes out with some green miner and wants to do it this way. I don't agree if that's his plan to go and do this. We saw there was a bunch of inflow an hour before his tweet went out, showing people front running the market, knowing that he was going to tweet this and dump the market. So that's another bigger problem, is if this is his plan and there's insiders profiting off other people, that's way worse of a problem and needs to be settled, and he should have to deal with that. And his credibility, if this is the case, should be completely shut down. No one should listen to him ever again if people are front running the market for his tweets to make money on people losing money, and then buy back at the bottom and ride this news wave if he has something planned. It just is terrible. I would hate to see that. I'm not selling any Bitcoin. I'm buying this dip. And Bitcoin, there's been many attempts in history for Bitcoin to be knocked out, and we're going to see the storm of media come after Bitcoin and try and put it out, and it never works. Every single time, Bitcoin comes roaring back and comes to shut everyone up. So maybe Elon should think more about empowering the individual instead of empowering a government or someone who can control your money and control what the value of your work can be worth. Because they can make it zero, and they already have.